He has been recognized internationally, including the prestigious EVE Award by Petrofac International in Glasgow. Mr. Anand Joshi.
This is one which I teach to VJTI students also, that in classes when we do BTech or MTech, usually the temperature design is not taught.
There is something powerful about hearing the raw parts of the journey, not just the polished wins.
These are the challenges which a structural engineer must overcome when he is faced with such unusual challenges.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, and today's episode is for anyone who has ever worked on a project where the drawings were perfect, but reality wasn't. For anyone who has had to balance safety, cost, schedule, quality, and still sleep at night. For anyone who knows that leadership doesn't always sit in the spotlight. Sometimes it stands quietly behind steel, concrete, and decisions that never make headlines. Because today, we are talking about execution leadership, the kind that shows up when projects are complex, margins are tight, risks are real, and there is no room for guesswork. And today's guest is someone who has lived this world for over 3 decades. He is not just an engineer, he is not just a project manager. He is a leader who has shaped outcomes across oil and gas plants, LNG terminals, floating LNG facilities, steel mills, and high-rise buildings across India, Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Africa. From early design tables to site execution, from bid strategy to delivery pressure, he has seen how good decisions are made and how costly indecision can be. He has worked with global organizations like Petrofac, Saipem, BNV, Atkins, Arab Tech, and MECON, and has been trusted with some of the most demanding projects in the energy and infrastructure space. He is also deeply committed to shaping the next generation as a guest lecturer at VJTI, Mumbai, teaching project and risk management, bridging classroom theory with real-world scars. He has been recognized internationally, including the prestigious EVE Award by Petrofac International in Glasgow, and academically as a gold medalist. But what really makes today's conversation special is this. Mr. Joshi understands that engineering is not just about structures, it's about judgment, it's about responsibility and leadership under pressure. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Anand Joshi to FaceTime with Leaders. Mr. Joshi, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today. How are you feeling?
Thanks, Sunny. It's a nice day today.
So, Mr. Joshi, you have built a career that spans more than 3 decades.
Yes.
So let me ask you this in a simple and open way. And I'm asking this not just for me, but for everyone listening today. How did this journey unfold for you? I mean, take us through your career from your early days as a civil engineer graduate to the turning points that shaped you into the leader you are today.
When I graduated in civil engineering from VNIT Nagpur, and incidentally, I am topper of my batch, I joined MECON India Limited, a public sector, by appearing the All India test and all. And immediately I was put into design section. And after some orientation, I was sent to site. The site for a ferrous plant, which was close to seashore. So every night you leave the site, you put the sandbags along the shore so that water doesn't come in. And next day you find, due to the high tide, all the sandbags have washed away. So you go into the mud, put the sandbags again. This kind of things I started with. And I then started designing the ferrous plants. I worked in MECON for 15 years and then shifted to Dubai in Atkins, which is a British consultancy company in high-rise tower design. There I have designed 55-story tower, which is there on also 4 Road. And then I shifted to Petrofac in industrial project management. Along the way, I did my MBA and PMP. And I worked as project delivery manager for Inshallah Southern Field Development Project and Elmar project in Algeria. And then I came back to India and started working in Black Veatch. which is offshore engineering firm where we designed topsides as a lead structural engineer. Then I also got opportunity to work in Ennore project, LNG regasification project, Black Veatch being LNG specialist, a very challenging project. And then subsequently, I shifted to Tata Consulting Engineers as general manager projects. Presently, I'm working as a project president responsible for contracts, business acquisition, and corporate regulations and compliance in Ellora EPC Limited. Along the way, I one time there was a time when I decided that whatever I'm learning from the projects and my work, I must give it to the next generation. So I contacted VJTI and they gave me this opportunity to work with students on a weekend. I had weekend classes with them in project management and challenging roles that we face and how we come over and what is the solution oriented mentality that we have. So this is all about me.
Mr. Joshi, that felt so real, and there is something powerful about hearing the raw parts of the journey, not just the polished wins. Mr. Joshi, you were the lead structural engineer on the IOCL Ennore LNG project, which is a highly regulated, high-risk facility.
Yes.
What was the most difficult structural or design challenge you personally handled on that project? And what specific change or solution did you implement to resolve it?
You come across again, this facility is close to seashore, Ennore port near Chennai. And when you are proximity to waterfront, the ground is very soft. Okay. So you have problems in deciding what types of foundation, because if foundation is not designed properly, it sinks because structure has a lifespan of 35 to 40 years. In 40 years, it will experience so many wind, rain, and so many earthquake also maybe forces. So we have to be very careful in designing the foundation. So we had all geotechnical study done, and then even after that, when we started piling for the foundations, one pile below the compressor sunk by 100 overnight. So we had to, I personally visited the site immediately. We took the geotechnical expert with us. We found the solution. We changed the plot plan itself. We looked at the compressor locations which can be shifted, because each time you shift a compressor or any equipment, connected piping also gets shifted. So you have to take approval from all the technologists, etc. We did this. Another challenge that comes to my mind is when a civil engineer designs, he designs for loading or wind pressure or earthquake, seismic vibrations, etc. But very few occasions they design for temperature. LNG by itself, when it is liquefied, it is at minus 169 degrees Celsius. Minus 169, my God. How do you design for that concrete? Concrete cannot stand more than minus 20 degrees Celsius. It spalls, creating cracks. So what to do? Because in case of accident, that LNG comes to a tank called impounding basin below the ground, and it stays there, and it is flammable, and it is at minus 169 degrees Celsius. So this was the challenge that came to me. And what we did, we designed the foundation for a temperature gradient, but still 169 and concrete surface, they are incompatible. So we put glass tiles, 120 thick glass tiles, which we procured from, there is only one manufacturer in the world, Peterson Cornick in USA. We procured from them. We built that tank, then put the liner with glass, foam glass tiles, and then we designed in SAP 2000 the heat gradient, and we ensured that the minus 169, which is faced by the glass tiles, at the end where concrete is there, it comes to minus 16 degrees Celsius by designing it in SAP 2000. This was one of the challenge which was recognized by my management, and they gave me a certificate. And this is one which I teach to VJTI students also, that in classes, when we do BTech or MTech, usually the temperature design is not taught. So this was one how you go ahead and do it.
Incredible, Mr. Joshi. That was such a vivid breakdown, and you made a very technical moment feel incredibly real. The way you brought us into that structural challenge really helped us understand the stakes. Great. All right. So, Mr. Joshi, you have led structural engineering on a major LNG project in India, managed both onshore and floating LNG projects internationally. improved internal processes to the point of being formally awarded, and consistently delivered at the highest academic and professional levels. Now, across all of this, what is the one practice or decision approach you actually see use on real projects that has most directly contributed to delivering complex work successfully and that other engineers could apply immediately?
Not me, but everyone in the design field. One concept they have to use, if they are not doing so, is safety in design. Because when you are designing for structural any structure, certain loads are known to you, like dead load, live load, but certain loads will never be known to you, like wind load or earthquake load. So now present codes. So the usual tendency is to design as per the codes and standards that are applicable to Indian or American if you are designing there. But there are certain structures which are beyond the code, which are not mentioned in code. Like when you design high-rise towers, codes mentioned wind intensity up to 30 stories tower only. And we see towers right up to 60 stories in India, and internationally it's more than 100 stories, Burj Khalifa, etc. So what will you do? Because safety in design has to be ensured. There is a person who is spending millions and is buying top floor, and he is going to stay there. So we must ensure his safety in all 30, 40, 40 years of life of structure. So for this, you have to do wind tunnel test. There are specialized agencies like RWDI who carry out wind tunnel test and give you the actual wind pressures. These are the challenges which a structural engineer must overcome when he is faced with such unusual challenges. And another thing, which is a rhetoric many times, but which comes to you again and again, is the triangle of cost, schedule, and scope. Unless as a project manager you are clear in your mind about the scope and schedule is given to you which is properly done, and then cost, only then schedule and scope, if you try to execute that schedule within that scope within the schedule, only then cost will be under control. This has to be done in every project by every project manager. And we see majority of civil engineering projects, whether in India or outside India, they have time overrun. They have time overrun because of only these things: schedule, scope. They are not managed properly, and cost overrun is there. And this is the responsibility of a project director there who is handling that project, to ensure that this is to be done. Otherwise, whatever decisions he make, he will result finally, the project will result in time overrun. So this has to be done. This is how you manage big projects. When I was in Petrofac, the project I was involved in was $2 billion project. $2 billion you have to spend in 2 years time, maximum 3 years time. Every month you have to spend millions of dollars, and for that you have to make lots of decisions, and those decisions are to be backed by technical. Because if anything is wrong, if there is any fatality during design or at site, then you are answerable to the court. There can be a court, people will take you to the court and you will be answerable there as a project director. So one has to be very clear, and safety in design must be taken care at every level, and ensure that this safety in design principle, this percolates down to your team and everyone follows it.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mr. Joshi. That landed beautifully, and you showed how complex engineering actually becomes simpler with disciplined thinking and approach. Okay. So during your time at Petrofac, you received an award for process improvement, which means you changed the way work was being done, not just delivered a project. Now, what was the exact process problem you identified? What change did you introduce? And what measurable difference did it make to the project or organization?
When I was involved as a project delivery manager in Southern Field Development Project in Algeria, in Insala, that time the total structural assemblies, total weight was 13,000 ton. And you cannot fabricate in Algeria. The order was given to NSF in Egypt, who will fabricate, and design was done by India, Petrofac's India office, and I was sitting in their head office in Sharjah. So there was coordination issue, and when we sent the structural assemblies to site, we found that certain items are missing. If the items are missing, then you have to refabricate at site, and you need time, cost, and scope also increases. So to prevent this, I was thinking what to do. Once I went with my wife to supermarket, and we found that on shelf there are so many items. Every item has a barcode. So I decided why not put a barcode sticker on the structural assembly itself, so that nothing can be missed and you can keep the record. Those were the days before WhatsApp and Facebook and all. It was 20 years ago. So video calling, etc., was not possible that time, and sites were in desert, so you don't have phone calls were not possible. So I took help of I teamed up rather with an IT engineer. We wrote a program. When you make structural design in STAD software, STAD gives each structural assembly a unique ID number, which is a number, big number. So that we captured and we put it as a barcode on a sticker. And when the assembly is checked inspected by inspector in Egypt in NSF, there he puts the sticker there on that structural assembly and it is scanned by a scanner, and that is emailed to the site that this particular item is scanned and it is in this packing list. When we ship, you give the packing list. So this is the packing list and this is the ship. All these details go to site, and when it arrives at site, that we call ROS, receipt at site. That time again, that person, site engineer or the store manager, he scans with his scanner the assembly and he gets everything in his computer. So now nothing is missed. What we had estimated, and same can be used for erection. When he releases that for erection from store, he scans it, and the receiving person, once it is erection is done, he scans it and he sends back the report. So nothing is missed. A particular assembly can be monitored from fabrication stage to inspection to packing list to shipping to receipt at site to erection. So nothing is missed. Usually in such a project, Petrofac used to miss around 100 tons of assembly, and here we did not miss anything, hardly 1 ton or so, and we saved 200,000 or so dollars at that time. So this was the reason. And then my project director that time asked me, why don't you present this in a contest which comes? They have a contest each year just after their annual general meeting where all the management is present. So many people contest. I also sent my entry. I was selected. I was called to Glasgow, and in a big function, the chairman, Mr. Ayman Asfari, they called me. He asked me what I have done. Then I told him, and he gave me that EVE award for that year. Yeah. So this change, this process change, improved their project management and saved a lot of money to them. And in future projects, all the project directors asked their project managers to follow this. This was the outcome. They saved a lot of money and time.
Incredible, Mr. Joshi. That was such a clear breakdown of how a small shift can transform a whole workflow. And thank you for sharing that insight with us. Okay, so that brings us to the next segment of the podcast, which is my favorite. It is called Rapid Fire Round. So, no overthinking, just quick, instinctive answers. So, are you ready for it?
Yeah,
Okay. So, here is my first question to you. Your favorite comfort food?
dal roti.
Okay. What is the next thing on your bucket list?
Yeah, I want to climb Mount Rainier. Actually, my daughter stays in Seattle, where Mount Rainier is there. Last time when I went up to the base camp level with my daughter and son-in-law, and I told them that next time when I come, it is quite challenging, but not like Indian challenges of Everest and all. But it is quite challenging because temperature will be very low. So next time when I go, I want to reach the peak of Mount Rainier.
Great. Next question. Which is your favorite movie?
Many, but of late I watched Durandar, which I liked.
Okay, nice. One song that instantly lifts your mood.
Actually, my wife is a singer, so every song she sings lifts my mood. The one she sings very well is "Lag Ja Gale Ki Fir Ye Hasi Raat Ho Na Ho" by
Wow.
Lata Mangeshkar. It's quite
Great.
difficult song to sing, but she sings it very well.
Nice. All right. One book that inspired you.
Atomic Habits.
Must read. Favorite way to relax on a weekend.
Go for long drive with wife.
Okay. One hobby you wish you had more time for.
As a young person, I played snooker. I was working in sale, so they had all club and all. But of late, when I shifted to private sector, of course, access to snooker table also is limited sometimes, and with your vision and all, it becomes difficult to see the angle. But I like to play snooker very much.
Okay. If not engineer, what would you have been?
Teacher, of course.
Amazing. One thing that always makes you laugh.
The jokes that my friends crack when we are together, they are mostly nonsensical jokes, but they make me laugh.
Great, great. If you could take a year off tomorrow, how would you spend it?
I would spend it on CSR activities of Tata Group. As an ex-Tata member, you are allowed to participate in CSR activities throughout your life. So I am a member of that. They call it Tata Engage. And presently, I am helping very remote area school construction with my skills from Pune itself, where I am located.
Wow, that's great. Truly, truly. So that is all for the rapid fire round. And your answers were fun, quick, and warm. And that's the great part of this round because you come to know the personal side behind the professional.
Yeah.
All right. So let's move on to the next segment of questions. And Mr. Joshi, large engineering projects involve big money, multiple vendors, and intense pressure. In that environment, some unethical practices slowly become normal. Now, one common example engineers quietly talk about is inflated quantities or over designed structures justified as safety, but driven by commercial gain.
Yeah.
You have reviewed and approved a huge volume of structural designs across oil and gas and industrial projects. Now, from your experience, how does an engineer practically identify when over design crosses the line from genuine conservatism into deliberate cost inflation, and what should they do when they spot it?
Yeah. This it is very there is a very thin line between deliberate over design and the required structure size. When we design a particular item, or rather right from the proposal stage, most of the contracts, they are lump sum contracts internationally, FIDIC contracts. So when you quote, there are n number of other parties who are quoting with you, and whoever quotes less will get. So the management doesn't want you to add more quantities and then make more money and become a big fat proposal which you can't win. This is not management's attitude. Neither they want you to put less quantities and structure becomes less unsafe later on, and they have to perforce they have to put more quantities. That is also so. The target is always to put the optimum quantity during proposal itself. So there is no question of unethical practice here when you are in a competitive proposal environment. But there are certain things which even courts have not foreseen for which we have to design. Like we have seen, there have been big earthquakes in Gujarat and in Maharashtra also, in Kilari, in Burj, where whole villages or mofussil centers have wiped out. They have not been there now. Anjar was a town there, it is not there today. So how do you design for such structure? This engineer is not God. He doesn't know when earthquake happens. Nobody knows. Or wind, when heavy wind will come, nobody knows. So they are probabilistic load. You have to design for them. So that engineer, with the help of code, he will do certain things and he will keep certain cushion as per code, so that when he goes in the evening to his home, he is able to sleep. Otherwise, in the night, he will get up and say, what I have done. That should not happen, because many times we see structures fall. Bridge, it is constructed, it falls down. That shows that somebody has under designed. It is unlikely that people doesn't know design, because we are in a very competitive and technological environment where codes are there, standard softwares are there. You can design, but this, if anybody says it is over designed, one has to look at it, and this has already been brought to statutory bodies knowledge. and they have put third party reviewers in every design. Suppose I am a contractor, design contractor who is designing, it doesn't get directly implemented at site. There is a third party reviewer. They call it PMC, project management consultant or checker. They check it and then they give the comments to me. I revise and submit, and then it is approved. So there are two independent parties here, one designer and one reviewer. This is how you control this over design or any unethical practice. And this is happening in all the big projects in India, whether you see the big infra projects like metros or bridges or roads, or private parties also are doing big projects like towers and all. So here, everything, every municipal approval that comes for a tower, it comes only after third party review. This is how the bodies are trying to prevent this unethical practice of padding up.
Mr. Joshi, that was refreshingly honest, and you took a tough industry topic and made it feel very human. And I really appreciate how clear you explained the difference between caution and excess. That was powerful. So that brings us to the last question of the podcast. You recently joined Directors Institute, which marks a shift from pure project execution into a board level perspective. So, what motivated you to take that step at this stage of your career? And what has been the most surprising or eye opening takeaway from your experience there so far?
Yeah. Uh, as when I worked as a lead engineer structural, or I worked as a project manager, or as even general manager, many times the decisions that I took, that for this particular project we should code this much, or this particular structure should be designed like this much, that all these designs, all these activities, we had to explain to our managing director. You, as a project director or project manager, you don't go to board meeting, you are not allowed to, but the MD can call you and ask you why you have done this and what was the reason, and he has the right to ask. So I had many times I had this opportunity to meet our MD and explain to him whatever his queries were. Recently, we had some issues in Dholera site where we had a lot of problems technical. So I had to go and meet MD. And then one day I decided I should also be in a position where I take the calls rather than taking the decision yourself, then getting it vetted by MD or board. Now, why not you sit in the board and take the decisions yourself? This was one motivation which led me to this path. Then I found out how I can become director. And then people told me that ID is one role where you can take up. Then for ID, WDC is the best party in India who can take up. So this is how I came to World Council of Directors. And after I coming up, then I realized what really a director means. Because in my mind, I was always thinking that this decision, that decision. But here the whole issue is about company law 2013 and understanding it, not only reading it, understanding company law, various clauses, various schedules, and how you navigate your company through difficult times. This is what I learned. And on part of World Council of Directors, they have done very good thing by putting a structured format in which a person can learn various how board meetings are conducted, what are requirements of independent director, what is LODR, and so many things. And once you go through, you appear for the test. And if a person has done it seriously, honestly, he has gone through. Like I did it, and I appeared for the exam, and I solved it that paper in an hour or so. I cleared the exam. It becomes so simple with help of World Council of Directors. So I'm thankful to them. Really, they are showing people, experienced people like me, who have technical background and who want to rise to the board level. This is one way, because with technical background, if a person becomes director, that's a totally different perspective there. It has nothing to do with technical. There you have audit, there you have remuneration, there you have key management personnel, there you have CSR, so many things which a technical person is not doing or not exposed to. So this is where the World Council of Directors pitches in, and it helps people. So thank you for that.
Great to hear that, Mr. Joshi. And let me tell you, this has been a truly enriching conversation. Today wasn't just about structures, projects, or engineering excellence. It was about judgment built over decades, responsibility earned on real sites, and the quiet discipline required to deliver when the stakes are high and there is no margin for error.
Yes.
Now, for everyone listening, this conversation is a reminder that great engineering careers are not built on calculations or softwares. They are built on integrity, they are built on consistency, and the courage to make the right call when it matters the most.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Joshi, thank you so much for sharing your experience so generously, from the early days on the site to leading complex projects and shaping the next generation of professionals. Your journey shows us that leadership in engineering is built layer by layer, just like the structures you have worked on. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
And to our audience, thank you for joining us on FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Sunny Pancholi, signing off for now. I will see you in the next episode.